All right, bookkeeping at the beginning. I'm currently dog sitting, so if you hear any strange noises coming from the other part of the room, that may just be a dog. Secondly, what am I drinking today? Funny enough, I actually probably do more drinking and prepping of drinks on camera than off camera, but nonetheless, I'm trying out, this is Dogfish Head's Compelling Gin. Dogfish Head is a almost local brewery and distillery. We first noticed them, my wife and I, our first trip together was to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. We spent several days there, and we discovered, among other things, we discovered Dogfish Head. They had a pub, and then later, it was a pub and brewery kind of thing. And then later on subsequent trips, we found out about their distillery, and we usually now go and take a trip out to the distillery, which is a little outside of town, and try out some new stuff. Now, one of my all-time favorite gins is a Dogfish Head. It's the Mellow something. I've forgotten the name of it already, because that's me. This is a new one. This is Compelling Gin, and we tried it, and at the distillery last year, it was quite good, so I decided to make a little gin and tonic. Used a dash of, I'll never say this right, Angostura bitters, the orange bitters, and a little just, basic tonic, doesn't really matter. So a splash of the bitters, and like an ounce of the gin, and then capped it to the middle point, I guess, with the tonic. So I'm going to try that. Oh yeah, that's really good. And I know gin and tonic is typically more of a summer drink, but whatever, I don't care. So what do I have here today? I have a large box. Going to have a few different things that I'll be taking out of it. I saved up my pennies for quite a while to order something, and I've been waffling on it, and I wanted it when it came in the first edition, and then I found out about the second edition, and I really wanted it, but I waffled back and forth because it's kind of expensive for me. I'm a little cheap. But I saved my pennies for several months, and actually for quite a while it was out of stock. And then, lo and behold, I had enough pennies together, and the item was in stock. So, of course, it's not the thing on the top. So I'm going to reach down and take it out. There we go. And it is Ultraviolet Grasslands and the Black City. This is you can see just from the art, this is sort of a psychedelic-y kind of a thing. I don't know if this counts, because I don't understand the whole OSR thing. I feel like it's at least adjacent. I don't believe this is based on a Dungeons & Dragons permutation, however, so I think that maybe makes it not OSR, except people count Cairn a lot of times as OSR, and I don't believe that's based on a D&D concept. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. One of the selling points of this is clearly the art and the visuals. Show the back here. Feel free to pause if you'd like. Actually, it's not so long that I won't read it. Fair hero, the end alone waits all travelers, and at the end was the journey all in vain. All journeys end in vain, mused the observer at the end of time. Welcome to the role-playing game of heroes tripping through mythic steps in search of lost time, broken space, and deep rifts. Rifts, not rifts. Second edition, more pages, bigger art. Great. So this, obviously, the star of this is the art. However, the vibes, and I think that really makes sense on a game like this. The vibes are part of it. So you can see they've used it's end papers. I always forget my technical terms. End papers are used here with charts. I believe this is the progress of play. And we can just see it goes right into just this gorgeous art. One of the big ones that gets compared to a lot is Mobius. Obviously, there's kind of a trippy, dreamy sense in like the Mobius art. I'm also reminded of, like, I'll never say his name right, Philippe Droulet or something like that, the French artist who did a lot of stuff that's in heavy metal back in the 70s and 80s, still working today. So the gist of this, from what I understand, is it's all about the trip, it's all about the travel. You cross this strange landscape that reminds me of elements of, guy I talk about a lot, Michael Moorcock's sort of multiverse, but it reminds me a little bit of that kind of thing, this really weird, dreamy, broken landscape made of different times and ideas. I also think of that, there's that short animated feature from Walt Disney and Salvador Dali that it reminds me of this as well. That's really, really bizarre. And again, I think about heavy metal, and I think about stuff like The Dying Earth, a lot of that kind of thing. So again, I love the concept. And I saw on, is it Geek Gamers, she was talking about how it worked really well for solo play, even though it's not necessarily intended for that. I like that. I'm trying to get a little bit more into solo play, although I tend to lack focus to stick through on games because I lack focus on most things. Look at that. That's gorgeous. But also, I would love to, at some point, run a game like this. I always really liked the Dreamlands supplements from Chaosium, and I know there's one done by another company, the Sense of the Sleight of Hand Man, which I haven't read yet. But I like the Dreamlands supplements in their weird take on fantasy. Obviously, because it's the fantasy of dreams, but there's this element of not quite timelessness, but like of broken time that I find really cool. The art in this is just gorgeous. And I know there's a lot of like charts and things like that that'll help you discover these different places, which I think is how it works well for solo players, because you can go in and you don't necessarily know ahead of time what's going to be there. You can roll for it and find out what kind of strange things you see. Good golly, look at that. That's gorgeous. That's almost like early 40K art, back when that had a lot more charm than it does these days. Not just trying to be a whatever, but, Rogue Trader, the original Rogue Trader, good golly, that book was just packed with wild excitement and the whole DIY vibe that I feel like is captured these days more by companies like Goodman Games, as opposed to the kind of regimented nature of a Games Workshop. But boy, Rogue Trader back in the day was just something special. Yeah, let me check all this stuff up. This is just gorgeous. So I'm basically just going to rant about how gorgeous the art is if I continue to flip through it. So I'm just going to make a little bit of a quick thing. And I think there's like another section of charts and things like that in the back. Trade routes, caravan quests. Looks like we have stuff for vehicles. I believe the system, I think it has its own system, and that the system is relatively light. I understand that to be the case. It's fine. And if the system is good, then the system is good and great. Look, 100 strange items. Like rainbow ceramic hammer of Jesus Thor. Price tag missing, or dried sheep pellets. What? Oh, I guess, okay, so each roll has actually two things that could be on there. Unless it's, let's see. What else do we, I'm just trying to figure out. I haven't read the rules for this at all, or the suggestion for how to read the chart. Bionecromantic preserver parasite keeps freshly dead alive, or last steel nodule. Okay. That's cool. So, yeah, it does seem like there's even then a choice of a couple of things. So, anyhow, biomagical corruption, great. life forms, excellent. Some weird stuff that it's like a horse with a crystal head. I love it, or a glass head. I don't know. Fantastic. So yeah, I really just I dig this stuff. You know, it's weird as somebody who is, with the exception, I guess, of drinking some booze, which I didn't start doing until I was in my 30s. And I swear like a sailor. But otherwise, I'm generally straight edge about a lot of stuff, so I have never actually been tripping balls. But I enjoy a lot of the material that is produced around it. I like a lot of psychedelic music, a lot of psychedelic art, and I like the vibe of this kind of thing. Yeah, here we have character sheets, or this is a caravan sheet. That's right. And here's the character sheet. Okay. Index. Oh my gosh, an index. I love it. I don't know how people produce games these days and don't have an index, but yeah, just fantastic. Also, man, I love retro travel posters. So future retro travel posters are great. Enter the synthetic dream machine. Yeah. So anyhow, this is my first order from Exalted Funeral. I've never ordered from them before, but things went off without a hitch. They got it to me fairly quickly. Now you do have to go over a certain price point to get free shipping. The shipping doesn't, I can't say for sure, but when I was doing a little bit of tooling around on the site, it seems like the shipping may just be flat, like $10 until you go past 100. I may be wrong on that. That's just every different permutation of things I was thinking about was $10 unless you went over 100. But anyway, this is Ultraviolet Grasslands and the Black City, 2nd edition. It looks really cool to me. I'm very excited to check this out. Again, I've been kind of looking forward to this game for now, I guess, several years, and really, especially for like the last 6 months or so, as I kind of committed myself to getting it and acquiring it and saving up the pennies that it took for me to eventually be able to afford to do so. So here's Ultraviolet Grasslands and the Black City, 2nd edition. If you enjoy at all what I am doing, and I don't know, if you have thoughts on this game, leave a comment below. Like the video if you feel like it. Support me if you want. Maybe I'll pick up something else weird with your support. I don't know. But support me if you want. Those links are in the thing below here. And that's it for me for today. I'm going to continue to enjoy my gin and tonic. Yep. And on to the next video I need to record from the rest of this package from Exalted Funeral. So take care.